The pressure cooker that is Ibrox is reaching boiling point, and the tension is no longer just simmering beneath the surface. It's out in the open now. Russell Martin, the man in the eye of the storm, has finally broken his silence in a way that feels more personal, more raw, and more defiant than ever before. For weeks now, there's been a growing sense of unrest in the stands. Fans frustrated with performances, annoyed by inconsistencies, and fed up with a team that just can't seem to deliver when it matters. And now, the manager is not just hearing the noise, he's responding to it. In his latest press conference, Martin didn't dodge the tough questions. He didn't offer empty platitudes or hide behind cliches. Instead, he confronted the criticism head-on, acknowledging the pain, the struggle, and the disconnect between the team and the supporters. His words weren't carefully crafted to win over the crowd. They were honest and, at times, deeply emotional. And maybe that's what makes this whole situation feel even more intense. Because it's not just about football tactics or match results anymore. It's about identity, about trust, about the very soul of the club. When asked about the growing negativity at Ibrox and the protests planned before matches, Martin admitted just how much it hurts. Not just professionally, but personally. He described it as a difficult balance. A situation where he and his staff are pouring themselves into the job, trying to mold a winning team that plays the kind of football the fans crave. And yet, despite that hard work, results have been inconsistent and criticism has been fierce. The sting, he says, comes not only from the scoreboard, but from hearing people question whether the team even looks coached. And that's where Martin drew a line. Because for all his flaws, one thing he insists on is that his teams always have a clear identity. A way of playing that requires hours and hours of repetition on the training ground. Whether fans agree with that style or not is a different matter, but to suggest there's no structure or purpose behind it clearly struck a nerve. In his words, they definitely look a certain way, which takes a lot of time on the training pitch. It's a small but significant defense of his philosophy, and a reminder that behind every performance are people working tirelessly, even if the final product doesn't always reflect that effort. As for the protests, Martin made it clear he won't take them personally. "I don't know any of them, and they don't know me," he said, adding that while he respects the fans' right to express their frustration, he also feels that frustration just as deeply. The key, he believes, is to keep perspective. And maybe, in a way, this rough patch could be the very thing that transforms the team. A chance to grow, to harden, to unify under pressure. Because the truth is, results fix everything. Win games, and suddenly the noise quiets down. The doubts fade. The protests disappear. He also gave a surprisingly candid insight into his own health and personal life over the past week, which has been anything but easy. Martin revealed that he had been suffering from a chest infection, barely able to get out of bed on the days leading up to training sessions. And if that wasn't enough, his daughter had also been in hospital for 3 nights. The toll, both physical and emotional, was clearly immense. And yet, he showed up. He coached. He stood on the sidelines, even though, by his own admission, he wanted to sit down during the match, but didn't because he feared how it would be perceived. There's something deeply human about that, about choosing to stand tall in the face of criticism, even when your body and mind are screaming for rest. He admitted that his own mother had been reading social media comments about how unwell he looked, and while he says he avoids reading that kind of content himself, his family isn't shielded from it. It's a part of modern football management that doesn't get talked about enough. The way public pressure doesn't just affect the person in charge, but ripples outward to their loved ones. And Martin was honest about that. This is a job he chose, knowing full well what it entails, but that doesn't make it easy for those around him. Still, he remains focused, determined, maybe even a bit stubborn, but in a way that great managers often are. He talked about the long-term vision, not just surviving the current moment, but building something that can thrive beyond it. And to do that, he knows results are key. Nothing quiets a restless crowd like 3 points. He pointed out that every club he's managed before has gone through similar struggles, that it's never easy at the start, that turning around a big ship takes time, and that, in his words, the potential on the other side of it has been immense. He believes it will be even bigger at Rangers if, and this is the big if, they can get through the fire. In some ways, this moment could be a turning point, not just for Martin, but for the entire dressing room. If the squad can dig deep, pull together, and come out the other side of this storm, it could be the kind of experience that forges a stronger, more united team. But make no mistake, there's no room for error now. Another bad result, and the calls for change will only grow louder. The spotlight won't dim. The criticism won't soften. That's the reality at a club like Rangers, where the standards are sky high and patience is in short supply. He also touched on the situation with Nico Raskin, another hot topic among the support. The Belgian midfielder has trained well this week, according to Martin, and is back in the squad. But the manager hinted that the issues surrounding Raskin may have been a necessary part of the team's evolution, a wake-up call, perhaps, to remind everyone of what really matters. He framed it as an opportunity for growth, both for the player and for himself, suggesting that even difficult moments can lead to long-term gains. It's not just about punishment or exclusion. It's about learning and adapting. And in that sense, Raskin's reintegration into the squad could signal a fresh start, not just for him, but for the team's culture as a whole. Away from Martin's presser, there was also a rare glimpse into the mindset of former manager Philippe Clement. The Belgian coach, who was let go earlier this year, gave an interview back home, but was visibly uncomfortable when asked about his exit from Rangers. He called the situation too delicate to discuss publicly and made it clear he's still processing the way things ended. That kind of language tells you a lot. Whatever happened behind the scenes, it clearly left a mark. And while he may no longer be in Glasgow, it's obvious that the experience still weighs on him. Interestingly, Clement insisted that he's still well regarded at both Rangers and Monaco, two clubs where things didn't end the way he might have hoped. He spoke about timing, about joining clubs at moments of turmoil, and the challenges that come with that. But he also made it clear that he's not done, not even close. After recovering from hip surgery, he plans to return to management soon, with a desire to keep working abroad. The pitch still calls to him, and he wants to be back out there, coaching, building, shaping teams. It's a reminder of just how unforgiving football management can be. One day you're the man with the plan, the next, you're out the door. And yet, for both Clement and Martin, the love of the game remains. The desire to lead, to inspire, to succeed, it never fades, even when the world around you feels like it's falling apart. But belief, as Martin knows all too well, doesn't come from words alone. It's built in moments, gritty wins away from home, late goals at Ibrox, brave performances that silence doubt and light a spark in the crowd again. And as he prepares his squad for what feels like one of the most pivotal stretches of the campaign, he's counting on those moments to arrive soon. Because the truth is, the margin for error has vanished. The patience from the stands is already threadbare, and any further slip-ups could push the situation from tense to truly unmanageable. What stands out most in Martin's words is how deeply he feels the weight of the job, not just tactically, but emotionally. He spoke about the noise surrounding the club and how, ironically, the louder it gets, the easier it becomes to block out. It all blends into a blur, he said, and while that may help him stay focused, he knows it's tougher for those around him. His family, far from the pitch, but not from the pressure, bear the emotional toll in silence. His parents reading comments online. His partner worrying from a distance. His daughter in hospital while he's on the training ground, trying to balance two worlds pulling at him in opposite directions. These aren't things supporters see on match day. They don't factor into the chants, the boos, or the banners outside the stadium. But they exist, and Martin laid them bare not to ask for sympathy, but perhaps to remind people that there's a human being behind the criticism. A manager, yes, but also a father, a son, a man navigating one of the toughest stretches of his professional and personal life. That kind of transparency isn't always common in football, especially at a club the size of Rangers, where every word is dissected, every gesture scrutinized. But Martin doesn't seem interested in playing games or hiding behind a polished image. What you see is what you get, and right now, what you see is someone clinging tightly to his convictions while the ground shakes beneath him. And what about those convictions? This isn't just a coach trying to stay afloat. He's trying to implement a specific philosophy, a way of playing that requires time, commitment, and patience. Three things that, at Rangers, often come with a ticking clock attached. He's not here to simply patch up a broken team. He was brought in, by his own account, to bring a clear identity back to the pitch, to change the way the team approaches the game, not just on match day but every day at training. He was hired for the long-term vision, not the quick fix. But the problem with long-term plans is that they often clash with short-term expectations, especially when trophies are at stake and rivals are flying high. That's where the real tension lies. Supporters don't just want progress. They want progress now. And with every point dropped, every uninspiring performance, it becomes harder to sell the idea that this is all part of a greater journey. For Martin, the challenge is to show signs of that journey without the usual milestones of immediate success. He's asked for trust, but in return, he knows he has to give something back. Moments that spark belief again. Signs that this team is on the brink of becoming something more. And that's why this weekend's match feels so massive. Not just in terms of the table, but in terms of the mood surrounding the club. Martin admitted that a win could be huge, not just for him, but for the players, many of whom are still adjusting to the demands of the Rangers shirt. He's seen what a strong result can do in the past, at other clubs, in other tough moments, and he's hoping for the same here. He spoke about the potential on the other side of the struggle, suggesting that if this team can push through the adversity, the reward could be greater than anything they've seen before. It's a bold claim, but it's also a necessary one. Because belief, fragile as it is right now, needs fuel. And in a city like Glasgow, where football bleeds into every corner of life, belief can turn quickly, for better or worse. That's the double-edged sword of managing Rangers. When it's good, it's electric. When it's bad, it's relentless. And right now, Martin is walking that fine line, trying to guide his team through the storm without losing the very identity he was hired to instill. The return of Nico Raskin could be a key part of that equation. After a spell out of the squad, both for fitness and disciplinary reasons, the young Belgian is back in the mix. Martin made it clear that Raskin's absence wasn't just about physical readiness. It was about maturity, about understanding what's required at this level. He framed it not as a punishment, but as a lesson, one that he hopes will benefit not just Raskin, but the entire group. It'll be good for his growth as a human being and a player, Martin said. That kind of language tells you everything about his management style: development over discipline, evolution over exclusion. There's a long-term view behind those words, just like there is in his tactical philosophy. But again, long-term thinking only works when the short-term doesn't collapse. If Raskin can come back and make an impact, if he can show that the time away was a turning point rather than a rift, it could signal something important. Not just for the player, but for a squad that needs leaders to step up, especially in moments like this. Meanwhile, the ghost of Philippe Clement still lingers. His brief but turbulent tenure at Rangers ended without the clarity or closure fans, or he, might have hoped for. His recent comments in the Belgian press hinted at unfinished business, at frustrations that remain unsaid. "It's too delicate," he said when asked about his dismissal. That kind of restraint only adds to the mystery. What really went wrong? Why did things unravel so quickly after he seemed to steady the ship? Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The Northeast has been buzzing with talk that could well shake the very core of Scottish football. Whispers from Pittodrie suggest that Kevin Nisbet, Aberdeen's star forward and one of the most consistent performers in the Premiership, is on the verge of a shock move to Rangers. It's the kind of rumor that sets tongues wagging in pubs from Union Street to Govan, and if true, it would mark one of the most sensational transfers in recent memory. Nisbet has been the beating heart of Aberdeen's attacking line, adored by the Red Army for his tireless work rate, sharp finishing, and ability to turn matches in a moment. Few imagined he would ever trade the red of the Dons for the blue of Ibrox. Yet, sources close to the situation hint that talks have advanced far enough for paperwork to be ready, with only final signatures separating him from a Rangers shirt. The potential switch is laced with drama. Aberdeen and Rangers share one of the fiercest rivalries in the Scottish game, and the mere idea of a Pittodrie favorite defecting to Glasgow is enough to ignite outrage among supporters. Already, social media is awash with disbelief, fury, and even denial. For some Dons fans, Nisbet's name may never be sung again if this deal is sealed. For Rangers supporters, meanwhile, the rumor feels like a bold statement of intent, the kind of move that could tilt the balance of the title race. Why would Nisbet take such a step? Some point to the lure of European nights at Ibrox, the chance to lift silverware, and the draw of playing in front of tens of thousands every other week. Others whisper of a financial package Aberdeen could not dream of matching. Whatever the motivation, the idea of Nisbet pulling on a Rangers jersey is enough to keep the whole of Scottish football on edge. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.